to Telling the Tale. I'm your host, Mitchell Farley Wolfe, and I'm here with Dustin Jackson.
Hi, Mitchell Wolfe. I have lost my wife, my cat, and my son in that order. That's not true.
Yeah, I'm sorry that... Oh, no, it's not true. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Good.
I lied.
Normally I would be mad at you for lying to me like that, but right now
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just
a good
relieved
lie.
because that would have been rough.
I don't have any of those to begin with.
Yeah, well, I'm...
How am I to lose them?
Yeah, I guess if you don't have them, you kind of did.
No, you gotta have them first to lose them.
There's a there's a philosophy problem in there. Today we're talking about Tales from the Borderlands Episode 3, Catch a Ride. Kind of, in my opinion, a bit of a phoned in name for the episode.
Yeah, I don't think does that have to do with anything in this episode?
It does.
Okay.
Catch a ride on Loaderbot, on the car. There's a lot of things you catch a ride on.
Oh, that's true.
Released originally on June 23rd, 2015. It's been another 3 months. So there was a huge gap of time between the first episode and the second, and then another pretty sizable gap of time for Telltale between the second and third.
That's interesting. I will say it was at least worth the wait this time.
Yeah, I think so.
Not that the last episode was bad, but I did get a lot more into this one.
It was directed by Ashley Rule, a name I haven't seen before. Written by Stirp Shorett and Ashley Birch.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she was a writer on this one.
Interesting.
And designed, again, by a name I have not seen before, Brian Freyermuth.
That's a name I've never said before.
It's a name I've never said before either, yeah. So we're seeing some new names. We're seeing some... Ashley Birch is not a new name to us, but I think a new name in the writers department for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so cool. Some new blood in Telltale, which might, given the time this was released, actually be a signal that, like, oh, there's new blood. I wonder why there's churn happening at this company. So that might have not been good. But
well, I think it at least worked out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know any way of saying like who wrote exactly what, but I did enjoy the writing in this episode.
Oh, in terms of their performance at the jobs, absolutely. I'm just saying when there's a lot of churn at a company like this,
it's a sign of not great things ahead.
It's a sign that it's not worth working at for the long time employees, right?
Right.
So, potentially, maybe that could have been the writing on the wall if we knew what to look for at the time. But it probably just looked like, hey, a bunch of new people are getting involved. That's exciting.
Be excited.
So, episode 3 of Tales from the Borderlands. Before we get into it, high level, Dustin, what did you think?
I had a great time. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I really liked this one.
It's so much happens just in the first, like more happens in this first, 10 minutes than I felt like happened in the whole last episode. That's probably exaggerating, but that is how it felt.
Yeah, there were some pretty interesting glitches in this episode that I got.
Oh, really? I didn't run into any. What did you get? So
there was... I don't want to bring this up when we're talking about quality because it's not an indicator of quality. So we'll get to it. And it really was just kind of more of a funny thing than anything that broke my game.
Right.
But I feel like there's two kinds of in-between episodes in these Telltale games because I think this is still an in-between episode.
Yeah. It definitely has that feel because... It doesn't feel like there's... I mean, there are a lot of big moments in this episode, but it doesn't feel like any earth-shattering moments. It's just... Which is fine when it's entertaining, which this episode is. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because episode 1 is definitely a big, pivotal episode. Mm-hmm. And then episodes 2 and 3 are both kind of in-between episodes, but they're different because episode 2... is really just an in-between episode where we're going from one idea to another. It took a long time to get there, and by the end of episode 2, which is where it ends, we are there, but then it's over. And in this episode, I think we're still moving between big ideas, but this one seems to have much more of a pivot, much more of like a turning action where we get to see things really develop. We get to see actual events occur that push us forward in the story and give us more information on the characters. And a lot of that just like normal happening time is happening to give us more weight to these things, where I didn't really think that was what was happening in episode 2. I didn't get more weight out of it. I just sort of got more time.
Exactly. It felt a lot slower. This one does have some big things happen in it, but it still feels like you're in that journey part of it.
There was an especially good journey moment pretty early on in the episode, like the intro credits sequence was wonderful. It was a montage of the whole gang plus Athena now, who we will get to, just hanging out in their RV thing, going across the desert, and there were tons of little character moments of like Fiona sort of passing Reese his shoe because he has been without a shoe for about an episode and a half now.
It's about time.
Yeah, it's about time. Sasha is doing target practice on a billboard of Handsome Jack, and digital Handsome Jack is just looking at her doing that and crying. The loader bot and the new robot friend Gortys, which we'll again get into, are becoming fast friends. It was great.
Yeah, lots of stuff going on. And no dialogue in it. It was just purely visual. It was very fun.
It was great, but it made me want this to be the playable part. It made me want like this to be the bulk of the game.
Right. I could see that, but I could also see myself thinking if it was, I could also see it overstaying its welcome a little bit. Like, I do kind of feel like they get what they need out of it for this.
Definitely. And I think this episode, if there was like a dominant motif throughout everything in this episode, it's about the relationships between different people on the team.
Yeah, and that is one of my favorite things, is relationships between characters. So I got a lot out of it.
Yeah, this was a very big episode for Reese and Sasha, which is a pairing that we hadn't seen that much before. Big episode for the relationship between Loaderbot and the Gortys Project, which I could not have predicted. And Athena, who now is a major player, and Fiona.
Right.
So there's these pairings that are coming up. And in order to not feel like a third wheel, Vaughn is completely taken out of the action very early on.
Yeah, not that he dies, because that would be so easy for that to happen, but yeah, he gets paralyzed.
So, big question up front, I think. How did you feel about the character's reaction to Fiona throwing the grenade? Because
it was
that
basically
didn't have to happen.
Yeah, I liked that it was basically exactly what we talked about.
Yeah.
Like them saying, yeah,
that was dumb.
That was dumb, and it was not a plan. It worked. It worked out, but
yeah. I'm wondering if this game feels more responsive to like our thoughts on the previous episodes because it has so much time between episodes.
I could see that. I remember hearing. I'm sure I brought this up during one of our Walking Dead episodes, but I know they talk about how they do look at like player feedback and let that affect the story. Having that much time for it might be a good reason why.
Yeah, I could see that happening because every intro remarks on how long it's been since the previous episode in kind of a cheeky way that doesn't age super well because now it's been 7 years since all of them.
Yeah, and it's been a week since we played the last one.
Yeah, which feels like 7 years. I don't know what that means. No, it doesn't. Yeah, I will say it didn't make me feel that bad about the bomb choice once I saw what happened, which is that everyone was fine and it didn't blow up that much.
Right, there weren't any consequences to it.
Yeah, it
But
makes me
it
feel like
was
either way
reckless.
it worked, it just would have been fine.
Yeah, but I think what they're trying to drive home is that this it was stupid of you to trust Fiona because it worked, but it probably shouldn't have because she was just improvising.
Well,
There was no way to know it would have worked.
what's interesting is I think last episode we said canonically you should trust Handsome Jack. Like in universe, it makes more sense to trust Handsome Jack. He just has the plan compared to Fiona.
Yeah.
But this episode has made me feel good about not trusting Handsome Jack because he acts weirder and more controlling in this episode than he had previous. And depending on how you talk with the stranger who's kidnapping Reese and Fiona, Reese can bring up some pretty good points for why he shouldn't trust Handsome Jack.
Right.
I think to me, in my version of the game, Reese just says, yeah, I just trusted Fiona a little bit more than I trust Handsome Jack. It's not even about trusting Fiona that much. It's just not trusting Handsome Jack.
Yeah, that's what he said for me as well.
Yeah, and that makes sense. That's true.
Yeah. Even if she's a little unpredictable, like she has still proven that she is at least morally more on my side than I imagine Handsome Jack would be.
Oh, definitely, yeah. So you use I guess it's just like a smoke grenade?
Yeah,
but it
didn't
wasn't.
they call it like a flash grenade? Like it does like a big flash of light, I guess?
Well, it
Blinds
certainly
people.
was more like that than a real grenade, but I don't think they ever said that in the previous episode.
Right.
They just made them seem like grenades, which makes this feel kind of bad.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really think about it that much when it was going ahead.
So they get away via like a vent in the ground, and there's some pretty fun dealing with grunts moments on your way out here, but you eventually escape into the main chamber. You meet up with everyone else. There's a shootout kind of thing with Loaderbot and Vasquez and August and everything, and it's during this time that Vaughn gets hit by that poison dart and becomes completely paralyzed for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, it really was just so they could just focus on these other characters, huh? There really is no real plot reason for this.
Yeah, I mean, I was happy with it.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't hate Vaughn, but he is kind of the character I'm like least invested in, I guess.
Maybe Chris Hardwick was more expensive.
Maybe. I could see that. Vaughn works fine, but even then, like he fills the role as Reese's best friend, but like you still have his relationship with like these other two that I'm more interested in.
Yeah, so
but I don't think it's bad or anything.
the whole fight is broken up when Valerie shows up. We've now seen Valerie. We hadn't heard about her last episode, but it was hinted at. Or we haven't seen her last episode, but it was hinted at.
Right.
Now we've seen her. She shows up. What do you think of this character design? What a wonderful character design.
She's great. I'm so glad that we were kind of talking about last week how they didn't really have anything like Bossa Nova.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the name of the other guy?
Zero,
that's it. They didn't have anything like those, just these weirdos showing up, and you get that again here with Valerie.
Yeah.
And she's great. We find she's voiced by Susan Silo, who is, she was just in a bunch of other stuff. She was in Crash Twinsanity, Shaolin Showdown. She was in. Do you remember
what a resume?
Yeah, just the two things.
Yeah, I remember Shaolin Showdown.
That was a fun show. Did you ever see the old, like, 80s Pac-Man Hanna-Barbera cartoon?
Briefly. I might have seen a clip or two.
She was in that. I think she was Sue, the ghost. She has just the other day, like maybe a week ago, I was thinking, I haven't heard her in anything in a long time. And then here she pops up. And I mean, this game came out a few years ago, but still, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, she was still doing stuff as recently as when this came out. And then I looked up what she had done since, and she's not like any big roles, but like she was in like the Final Fantasy VII remake.
Oh, cool.
So she's still doing some stuff.
Do you know who she played in that?
No.
Okay.
I think when I was looking at behind the voice actors, it was just like additional voices, so just like townies and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, she's a great voice actor. But
very distinctive voice that works really well with this character.
I was just very taken with the character design, the artist on this character. Because you can go really busy with Borderlands characters, and that's kind of the fun of the aesthetic, I think, for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But this character is just busy enough to be this really brooding, brutish, intimidating old lady. Cool. Yeah, just cool look about her.
What I like about it is that she feels like naturally like an evil old lady. Like it's so easy for like the joke to be, oh, here's your villain, but it's an old lady. Isn't that wacky? But here it like just works. It doesn't come off as like a joke.
Oh yeah, there's no moment of comedy about her being an old lady. It's just immediately, she's really got this air about her, and I think they make a big deal about it in a really cool way when August and Vasquez come running out and they're like, "Oh, sorry, Valerie, I'm so sorry." And for August that makes sense. For Vasquez, that's out of character.
Yeah. I guess she's put that much fear in him.
So she asks Fiona who is to blame for the deal going sour. And
who did you say?
I said Vasquez.
I also said Vasquez.
Which is not true.
Yeah, I didn't really know who to say. I was just like,
Yeah, I mean, technically it's like Sasha, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Because Sasha, I think the deal went sour when Reese dropped the vault key. The fake vault key. And he did that because Sasha EMP'd his arm.
Oh, wait, you know what? I didn't say Vasquez. I said August.
Oh, you said August?
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened with August?
She calls him over, and you find out August is her son, which is fun. And then she rips his nose ring out.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, she just rips his fucking nose ring out and then tells him to stand over there and think about what he's done.
Wow.
And it really captured that energy of like being over at a friend's house when you're a kid and they get in trouble.
Yeah,
and all the other friends are just
ripped out of their body.
Yeah, exactly. And then all the friends they've invited over are just kind of like looking at each other silent, like, okay, what do we do now?
Yeah. No, when you say Vasquez did it, she kills him.
Yes, well, she kills him anyway.
She always kills Vasquez anyway?
Oh, yeah, she shoots him in the stomach.
All right, Telltale. Come on, Telltale. You're better than that. I've seen you in Walking Dead episode 1. You let Doug or Carly live. Come on.
That's true, but then they end up dying anyway.
Yeah, but like for a few episodes. More than one.
That's true.
It's impressive.
They stick around. It feels like that happens a little less as time goes on.
Sure, and I think that things like Tales from the Borderlands, and even to a certain extent, The Wolf Among Us, they're not building on the interesting choice system of The Walking Dead. They're building on the narrative power of the format. Just in order to tell a story that has the same kind of prestige storytelling you would expect from primetime television of the era, right? In order to do that in a video game, this is a good format to do it, and I think that's what these licensees are jumping on Telltale to do. But I think the reason that The Walking Dead was regarded by many as like the best game that year of any game that came out had a lot less to do with that and a lot more to do with the interesting choices. So to see that these post-Walking Dead games of the same style are not focusing on the interesting choices and are focusing just on the fact that you can tell a story this way, it's a little disappointing to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like that's a big reason why choices in general are pretty... they're really de-emphasized in Tales from the Borderlands to the point where they don't even tell you the choices you make at the end.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's anything that we're going to play from later Telltale that has the same kind of choice importance as The Walking Dead.
It's hard to say. I mean, I would like to think at least one of them does, but who knows? I mean, maybe there's a reason a lot of people... Like, after The Walking Dead Season 1, even stuff like Tales from the Borderlands, which people said was still really good, it was never as big as Season 1 of The Walking Dead. Nothing was.
Well, I think that part of
Telltale,
that is just, like... For the games industry, we really hadn't seen anything like The Walking Dead Season 1, and we absolutely have seen something like Tales from the Borderlands. It was Walking Dead Season 1. So any of these are just not going to feel as new and exciting. You can't possibly make them feel as new as exciting.
Yeah.
You can maybe make them better, but I don't know if they have.
Right. But I also feel like maybe de-emphasizing the choices is another reason for it.
Yeah, it makes me curious about what's going to happen with The Expanse and Wolfe 2.
Yeah.
Like, are they going to sort of return? Because Wolf Among Us was maybe like a half measure in this way. It felt like, yeah, you're going to get some choices, but it's less important than The Walking Dead. So I bet Wolf Among Us might go back to being very choice heavy. I don't know what their approach with The Expanse will be. It seems like it's going to be more like an action adventure in certain parts based on that trailer. You saw the latest... I don't remember when the latest one came out, but it had like exploration gameplay in it for The Expanse.
Strange.
I mean, it could be cool.
Yeah, I'm down for it. And I feel like if they're going to de-emphasize the choices you make, then that puts a lot of weight on the story and characters. And I do feel like Tales from the Borderlands is able to carry that weight, at least so far. I really like these characters now that we're a few episodes in. Like, I really like this big group we have. I like the newcomers as well, like Gordis Rocks.
I've liked Loaderbot more.
Really?
I've turned around because Loaderbot has...
same.
That first episode, I think it feels like a pilot in retrospect. Like a pilot of what the series could be, and then these last two episodes have been like, okay, we've isolated what we want the season to actually be.
Yeah, because they really go all out with a lot of the concepts in that first episode that don't necessarily... You get some of that going forward, but like that first one seemed like just all of these different things together. Yeah,
when we get into Guardians of the Galaxy and Batman, I want us to keep an eye on Tales from the Borderlands Episode 1. And if anything that later Telltale ever did after that had that kind of scope again.
Yeah.
Because I doubt it. I bet that was the peak.
Yeah. I guess, like, that's slightly disappointing, but I'm glad we got, like, Episode 1 is bananas.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can be a lot smaller than that in scale and still be pretty huge. Because Episode 1 was just enormous. It takes place on... like all over Pandora and in Helios on a space satellite and different hallways, and you have a car and there's stores
they did have a car.
with like tourist trap things, and there's all kinds of like interesting storytelling of tell this part from Reese's perspective and then from Fiona's perspective, and they both are missing critical information. It's cool. Like it was top 5 Telltale episodes, I'm gonna say.
I think so. Yeah.
Out of anything we've played
impossible.
So far.
I guess it's impossible to keep that same level of stuff in every episode going forward. But I'm glad they were able to make a really strong first impression.
I'm hoping the finale kind of like goes back into it. We've seen that a few times.
Yeah.
Where episode 1 is really big, and then 2, 3, and 4 are a bit lighter, and then episode 5 is really big again. We saw that in Tales from Monkey Island. And
episode 5 was
episode
amazing.
5 that was fantastic. We saw that I want to say actually not that much with Devil's Playhouse.
I was just about to say, it feels like Devil's Playhouse really just builds up as it goes, I think, because it starts out pretty low scale. You just have your villain of the week with Skunk Ape, and you're really just in the town. So it starts things off pretty light, and then as the season goes on, it gets kind of bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I'd really love to see a post-Walking Dead season of Sam and Max. Not that I want Sam and Max to take that formula necessarily, but like adventure games changed. Adventure games had the Walking Dead formula from Telltale, but then also things like Gone Home and the Stanley Parable and Firewatch that have completely redefined adventure games in the modern era.
Mm-hmm. I'll say this, I think I would be fine, like, if Telltale, before they closed down, just did a Sam and Max Season 4, and it played more like Walking Dead, I feel like just by the nature of what the Sam and Max series is, you could get really weird and fun with it.
Cool, yeah, why not? I kind of...
Mm-hmm. I don't think they should be pigeonholed into just doing that, especially, like you said, adventure games have grown in all sorts of different ways, so I don't think they should, like, necessarily need to just do it like Telltale did.
Yeah.
But I'd be down to see whatever a new Sam and Max season would go.
Because Sam and Max are at their core, even though they barely ever act like it, detectives, I do kind of want to have a bit more impact on, I'm going around the scene collecting items and evidence, and eventually I'll find out this mystery when I get there, than the steam train pace that all of the later Telltale games go at, and they just don't stop, and you're essentially watching them as more of an interactive movie, which I don't have any problem with, but I think maybe I want Sam and Max to feel gamier. I want it to feel...
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I don't necessarily want it to be just like solely an emphasis on the narration and choices, but you could find like a nice ballpark to play around in that's kind of between the two.
By the way, we should be getting that Devil's Playhouse remaster pretty soon, right?
I don't know. They haven't said anything about it. I know when they were doing the Season 2 remaster, they would still put out like screenshots for it. Like throughout the year, you would get like little somethings. We haven't seen anything with Devil's Playhouse, which I guess fine. That's the season I would want them to put the most time and effort into. I'm cool with waiting.
Yeah, I just hope they're doing okay. We haven't heard much from them because in December, I think December 2020 was when Season 1 came out, and then December of the next year was when Season 2 came out. So I thought we would maybe see it again in December. But Devil's Playhouse is a more ambitious game than either of the first two seasons by quite a bit, so I could see that also taking longer.
I'm really looking forward to it. They did a good job of making Seasons 1 and 2 look a lot better, but Season 3 was already like a big step up from Seasons 1 and 2. I can only imagine how they're going to fix that one up.
Well, I have my limited run case that fits 3 Switch games from Sam and Max that they made in anticipation of being able to finish those games. And, knowing about indie development, what I know, I always thought that was a pretty risky, ballsy move, but to sell that, just like, no, we're definitely making them.
Yeah, like from the get-go, they were like dead set on making all 3. Like when the first one came out, if you went to the website, it had little tabs for Beyond Time and Space and the Devil's Playhouse.
Yeah, I mean, when you're running a business like that, you never build into your equation of like, okay, we might fail. You just can't think that way. So I get it.
Yeah.
But still actively saying we're also going to do these other things long after the project we're currently doing right now, that is more aggressive than you have to be too. So,
right. Yeah. Well, now both Seasons 1 and 2 are on every platform. They kind of slowly rolled them out onto Xbox and then eventually PlayStation. So I hope that helps. Get them a little, a couple pennies.
Maybe that'll. Maybe that's slowing it down too. Maybe Devil's Playhouse is going to launch on everything at the same time.
That's a good idea.
I'm still waiting on my Beyond Time and Space physical edition limited run. I'm still waiting. I ordered that in like May.
That's a long time ago.
Or June maybe. They just didn't do it yet.
I guess that's is that to be expected with limited run? I think what I've seen is, it just takes a while to get this stuff out.
This is longer than average, I think, but usually, it does take a few months from when the pre-order period ends to when they finish manufacturing everything.
Right. I'd be so down to see him tackle a season 4 if it were in the cards afterwards. I don't know how in the cards it is, but it'd be awesome.
I mean, they're still in contact with Steve Purcell. They're getting like update design notes. I would imagine. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine Steve Purcell telling anyone else that they could just make season 4 than Skunk Ape.
Right.
Even modern Telltale, I think would be a weird choice for that. Although I have seen their Twitters interact quite a bit, Skunk Ape and modern Telltale, so they don't seem to be mad at each other. You never get a sense of, do these people hate each other or not?
Yeah. Do you think they could partner up, combine forces for a Sam and Max? Even a Tales of Monkey Island remaster, I'd be down for it, because New Telltale still has the license for that, right?
For Monkey Island?
For Tales of Monkey Island.
Well, yeah.
They're the ones.
They can sell Tales of Monkey Island, but they don't have any perpetual Monkey Island rights.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if Skunk Ape were to remaster Tales like they did Sam and Max, would they have to talk to them about it?
I think they would have to talk to them and Lucasfilm.
Right, yeah. And I don't know if they would even want to do that. Maybe they are just Sam and Max, but I really want it.
Yeah, I think that because they were able to buy the Sam and Max games from Telltale, they have an investment in shaping their company around it a little bit.
Yeah.
Where they don't have that with Monkey Island.
Right.
Even if they did buy Tales from Monkey Island, they wouldn't have any continued guarantee of like, oh, maybe we could continue this because it will always be with Lucasfilm, that they would have with Sam and Max potentially if they kept working with Steve Purcell.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I just really want to see that game get some love.
Yeah, me too. I mean, those middle 3 Monkey Island games are in a rough legal and technological spot for re-releases.
Mm-hmm.
Tales is a little bit better off on that than Curse or Escape, but Curse and Escape are pretty much locked to the PC.
Yeah, they didn't get the special edition treatment like 1 and 2 did. I've seen a few people do like AI upscales of Curse that look pretty good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I guess that would just be the way to do it, since it would be less effort than going in and like redoing it all in HD.
Well, I know that a lot of the Humongous games were released on Switch, and the Humongous games use Scum VM to emulate, not an emulate, it's like a software level recompilation Scum VM. To make that stuff playable on modern consoles. And whatever they're doing there might be good enough for Curse and Escape, but I haven't played a Humongous game on Switch. My understanding of how it works is that it feels kind of like shaky. It feels... You can definitely tell that you're running some sort of third-party program in order to make it happen, which is great. I think that should be allowed to happen, but I could also see Lucasfilm saying, I don't want to release my stuff in a way that looks like that.
Right.
So,
which is too bad, but at least they're all playable in some way.
Yeah, I'm glad they're all playable on PC. I'm glad that Windows has upheld their promise from the early 90s to continue to support any program from an early Windows operating system. Windows 11 still plays Windows 3 games quite well. So that's great. Right.
Yeah. I forgot we were doing a Borderlands episode.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing a Telltale podcast more than a Borderlands episode. So
that's true. I don't want to sound... It's not like last week where I really didn't have that much to say, because this is a very, very good episode. I enjoyed a lot.
Yeah, and maybe instead of going like through the plot beat by beat, talk about some highlights. They go to an arboretum.
Ooh,
a greenhouse,
what a word.
if you will. It once was an Atlas domed research facility where they were doing some research on plants of some sort. And
some very nice visuals here with
yeah,
purple glow on the frozen plant.
There's always some good. You're in for a good time when you get to the glowy mushroom level in a video game.
That was Pokemon Sword and Shield.
That was Pokemon Sword and Shield. Donkey Kong 64, I think, does that a little bit.
That's true.
If you get to the glowy mushroom place, you're having a good time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. At this point, oh no, we should talk about Athena. So you're gonna be killed by Valerie. She has shot a bullet into Fiona's face. Athena just jumps in with a shield and basically beats up Valerie enough so that they flee, and turns to the gang and says, "Hey, you idiots, I'm trying to help you." Which, I don't know, Telltale. I watched her throw the shield at Fiona a couple times in the last episode. I don't know if I buy it.
Yeah.
What you're trying to tell me, like, oh, no, it was a misunderstanding the whole time? Okay.
All right.
Yeah, but she was hired by Felix before he died to look after them.
Something to keep in mind was that was also when Fiona was the one telling the story. Maybe she felt like she was throwing it at them when she really wasn't.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's kind of a mental stretch you have to make to justify it.
I could buy it. I mean, if I don't know if that was the intention, but
exactly. But it is something that at least helps it feel better.
Sure. It feels better without stretching it so that it's obviously wrong. So I'll take it. It's good.
Thanks.
Yeah, so now Athena's just part of the team. She doesn't know what the Gortys project is at all. She's just focused on protecting Sasha and Fiona. Cool. She's also a very cool character design.
Mm-hmm. I feel like this episode, like, every new character they bring in here, I think is pretty good.
Yeah, I do too.
Better than pretty good. Like, I love, like, most of these characters.
Athena, despite being a Borderlands character from other games, does feel very Telltale-y to me in a way that is comparable to maybe Jane in The Walking Dead. Or
there's a part later on that gave me real Jane energy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the specific backstory about having a dead sister and being jaded because of your dead sister, and so you have to be aggressive and fight for yourself. Yeah, that did literally happen to Jane. Exactly.
Yeah, I love Fiona's reaction to it. Like, Athena's telling her backstory that's exactly the same as Jane, and Fiona goes, "Wow, you are really bad at conversation."
She didn't say that on mine.
Oh, she did for mine.
She just did not.
She just didn't give even the slight. She didn't even pretend to care about her backstory.
Well, I found out about that backstory maybe at a different time then, because I found out about it when Athena had found out that the person staying at the Arboretum was like an old Atlas scientist, and she's trying to kill everyone that ever worked at Atlas.
Ooh, oh yeah, she does mention it there. For me, she mentioned it a lot earlier when she and Fiona were on their way to the turrets, with the big man-eating plant.
Oh, I didn't get it there.
Interesting. Yeah, she says it to... I forget why she brought it up. It was something... She brought up how she was tricked into murdering her sister. And then there's just this silence. And then Fiona says, "Wow, you are really bad at conversation."
I really like Fiona.
Fiona's great. I said it before, but I feel like this episode was where I realized I really like all of these characters.
I think Fiona's an interesting character because we've been looking at who's the bell ringer in Savannah in season Molly. I kind of expected a bit of a Molly from Fiona. She's like a con man who's been living on Pandora her whole life. She's gonna be the badass. She's gonna be the one that shoots people.
She's the hardened cool girl.
Yeah, Reese isn't gonna shoot people. Reese is like a pencil pusher from up high, but Fiona is this entirely put together, stoic, badass woman. And it made me imagine that, like, this early 2010s movement of pushing female characters in video games to be like heroic beyond humanity a bit.
Yeah.
Which
perfect badasses.
Perfect untouchable badasses, which is absolutely a step up in almost every way from the mid 2000s typical female video game character. But like we still have room to go.
Yeah, it's still kind of over fixing it.
It's over fixing it because now they're not even real characters. They don't get to have the same arc or growth that a lot of the male characters have, because now it seems like you're forced to just present them as these impossibly ready and perfect assassins of all variety. Fiona is a Guybrush Threepwood. More so than Reese.
Yeah, she's goofy.
Yeah, she's goofy. She's gonna fuck it up before she gets it right.
Right. Both of our main characters in this game, I think, are very good. Both Reese and Fiona. Because of that, they make them feel more real. They make them feel like goofy fuck-ups.
Yeah, it reminded me of in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I don't know if you keep up with Marvel movies. We've probably talked about it on the show before. How you don't. Captain Marvel was the first Marvel movie centered on a female hero.
Right.
But I felt that Captain Marvel was kind of that. And a couple movies earlier in the MCU, you had Thor Ragnarok, which was obviously not centered on a female hero, but it did have Valkyrie, who is a female hero, who, like, in her first couple steps off of her spaceship, it's like framed on her, and she was she was like trying to intimidate these people into a fight. She looked like this real badass, but then, like, on the catwalk down from her spaceship, she just stumbles to the left because she's super drunk and falls off, and then she just doesn't win the fight because she's like asleep now. That made me feel like, okay, now that person is allowed to do all the same thing that the male heroes are now. That feels like a huge win compared to like having to present them as these stoic, cold bastions of confidence.
You get that in a lot of animated series, how, like, male characters are allowed to be goofy and stupid, but then, like, you'll have, like, the token female character who rolls her eyes at the stupid boys.
Yeah. And I think that version of Molly is probably one of the weakest points of Walking Dead Season 1.
Yeah, it's so weird because otherwise Season 1 of Walking Dead feels like it just works. Like, all the characters feel very natural. Mm-hmm. And then you have this cartoon character show up.
Yeah, she's a Power Ranger in a world of just regular folks.
Exactly.
And
she's got all the quippy comebacks.
Now, Borderlands is a universe that completely supports just impossible superheroes existing all the time, and Athena is one of them. She's a vault hunter. She's known to be a powerhouse. She has a reputation, and I think that's great because Fiona isn't that. Fiona's this very human person who's written incredibly well all the time. And I want to apologize to Borderlands because I, for the longest time, did not think you were capable of doing that. And then Sasha is thoroughly different as well, and Valerie's thoroughly different as well. This game does a wonderful job at that, and I wish Walking Dead Season 1 kind of got on that level, because it's one of the very few things that pull it back a little bit for me.
Right.
It's people that knew they didn't know how to write for women, but then thought that knowledge of that was going to be enough to make them be able to write for women. Right, and it wasn't. No, it wasn't enough. Although I think Season 2 of Walking Dead did it quite a bit better. Especially, making Clementine the main character and being forced, probably because she was the main character, to explore her in a much bigger human way, and Jane is a better version of Molly by the end. Yeah, right. As well. I guess Molly really is the one in Season 1 that's that bad, though. I think the other female characters are, like, fine, even if they're not, like, Oh, they just don't do much, right?
Yeah, like Carly is there, but she just dies in episode 3.
Yeah, Lily's a strongly written character, but Lily also is gone
She's
by
out of there
episode
too.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I want to play more Walking Dead. I want to get back in that world. I mean, I don't want to get in that world.
It's such a weird thing I'm finding is I feel like everything about like the characters and the world I'm enjoying more in Borderlands, but I can't really bring myself to say it's better than season 1 of Walking Dead purely because I like the choice stuff. And season 1 of Walking Dead has great characters, but I do kind of lean more towards the more comedy-based and more adventure-y feel of Borderlands.
Well, that's video games, right? Like, you can make whatever kind of world and set of characters that you want, and in a vacuum that can be enough. But if you don't have... Not that Borderlands doesn't, but if you don't have a very well-tuned, thoughtful set of gameplay mechanics and systems, and an eye for what the player experience is like, then you should maybe just make those things into a movie or a book, because that's just a world and characters and story and writing.
I guess I do like this better than if it were a movie. I'm more invested in it this way. Just you still get little stuff like being able to use Reese's eye and like scan everything around you.
Yeah, no, to be clear, I'm not saying that Tales from the Borderlands does not have it. It absolutely does. And you know, if I think Jurassic Park might have been an example of when it actually didn't. In terms of ones from this podcast that we've talked about.
Do you remember any of those characters?
I mean, I remember Decaf.
I guess that's true, yeah. Decaf.
Yeah, they laid eggs in his chest.
Who could forget that? But like, if you were going to give me $10 million, I could not tell you the names of any of the other characters. I'm going to remember these Borderlands characters forever. They're great. They make such a good impression.
Yeah, I mean those Jurassic Park episodes are they're not much, and like that could have been a movie in the Jurassic Park franchise. It could have been.
Yeah, definitely.
Borderlands is a very good video game. I just think that the design of The Walking Dead Season 1 and even 2, but 2 is mostly like the narrative design that I think pushes it through. The design of Walking Dead Season 1 in all aspects is just masterclass. It's really, really good.
Yeah. I agree.
And that's why it kind of doesn't matter that if you like a different game's characters or world a bit more, Walking Dead Season 1 is probably going to push ahead of it.
Yeah. I agree, but that's not to undersell this game, of course. No. I am very much enjoying Tales from the Borderlands. Even last week's, which was kind of a lull, was still, like, good enough, and then this one just brings it back up again. Yeah,
definitely true. And I'm hoping that near the end we have a similar kind of revelation that we had in Season 2, Episode 5 of Walking Dead, where I didn't think a lot of those choices were doing anything at all. And then to have them contextualized by being put into the context of being things that are important to Kenny, but not you.
Yeah.
Changed the entire series. And I totally understood what they were going for all of a sudden. And these Tales from the Borderland choices just don't feel like much.
Right. And, like, I'm not going to hold it against it too much, because from the get-go, you get the feeling that choices are not going to be the most important part here. So I don't necessarily want to hold... As long as it excels at the stuff it's trying to excel in, I think I'll be fine with it. But, yeah, exactly. It does still hold it back from being that Walking Dead Season 1 level. Or even 2.
Yeah.
Well, I don't...
I mean, to me, I like 2 more than this. But I understand that Walking Dead Season 2, for a lot of people, felt like a low point.
I did like Walking Dead Season 2 more than I had before. after talking about it. I do think people rag on it a little too much, but I do feel like this is like maybe the one time where I think liking the characters and world more will make me put it over season 2. Even if I agree with you on what season 2 did.
I mean, that might even happen for me depending on how the next 2 episodes go. We'll have to see how it ends.
Yeah, like I would say I prefer this group of characters over the ones in Walking Dead season 2.
Well, okay. I think I agree, but it's mostly just because in Walking Dead season 2, the real meat of it is so just Clementine and Kenny. Like, yeah. And again, that was like one of those things that didn't occur on purpose, did not occur to me until after playing through episode 5. But yeah, like all of those other characters are kind of just put into the world to frame Kenny and Clementine's relationship. So I totally agree. Those other characters don't do as much as Reese or Fiona or Sasha.
Yeah, it just comes down to what I guess just what you value a little more, because I feel like characters are usually what I gravitate to.
Well, I mean, that so being said, like I still think Clementine and Kenny, just those two, I would put above any in this. But any of the other characters in Walking Dead season 2, I don't know if I would.
That's tough for me to say, because I feel like Clemmy. I don't know who that is. Clementine and Kenny are very well-written, strong characters. They're probably better written characters, but I just think these ones are more fun. I'd put Guybrush Threepwood over Kenny and Clementine, but that's not to say he's the better written character. I just have a better time with him.
I don't know if I can get there.
That's fine. I know it's a tough walnut to break.
I would rank Guybrush currently higher than any character in Borderlands.
I would currently too, but I love Guybrush Threepwood. That's a hard level to reach.
I mean, Fiona is quickly becoming one of my favorite Telltale characters, I think.
Yeah.
But like, we got to see how the arc goes, because it could end any kind of way, because we're seeing arcs emerge in this episode thanks to these characters develop. So let's talk about the characters. First, the Gortys Core. Got to talk about the Gortys Core.
Love the Gortys Core.
Gortys Core turns out to be a little robot when it unfolds from the ball that it is. And it's great.
Yeah, I love it. Voiced by Ashley Johnson.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Ashley Birch, and that would have made a sense with the writing credit. But no, okay, yeah, Ashley Johnson.
Yeah, Ashley Johnson, who was Ellie in The Last of Us.
So Ashley Johnson and Ashley Birch, they're all part of that Critical Role scene, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a point to that. It's just interesting. Anyway, when the Gortys comes alive and it's just, hey, how you doing? My name's Gortys. Fiona says, you get the choice, and I took it, for Fiona to say, you are so cute.
You are the cutest thing in the world.
You are the cutest robot I have ever seen. And then the Gortys Core says, well, you're not looking bad yourself. Meow.
And Fiona responds with, awesome.
Fiona was just hit on by this robot, and without a beat, she goes, awesome. She loved being hit on by the robot.
Yeah, I love that she and the audience are on the same page.
Yeah,
she's like, oh, just this little, we got a fun little robot now. This is great. Everything's going well.
Yeah, because I think there's such a tropey response built into the world of being a character who is hit on in fiction. Like I would have paid any amount of money to bet that Fiona would have taken being hit on by a robot negatively. But I think if you think about anyone you know in real life put in that situation where a robot hits on you, you would take it, you would be pleased.
You'd
would
be like,
always love
this
that.
rocks. I love this robot.
This robot fucks, and I don't know how to think about that. But cool.
Yeah, you know what else I'll say? I feel like it would be very easy to make a character like this annoying. It'd be easy to make this like the overly cute character to contrast the rest of the world. But it feels very natural with this character. Like it doesn't feel like they're doing, like, it is for humorous purposes, but it works in a way that I wasn't necessarily sure it was going to at first.
Yeah, and she becomes a really good friend with Loaderbot, and that makes me like
That's
both
great.
of them more. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's so good.
Uh,
It at the end, when you have to save, jumping ahead just a little
Sure.
bit for a second, when you have to save Gortys from being chased, it makes you really want to save this little robot. You're like, no, this Gortys is part of the team now.
Yeah. So the point of going to that Arboretum is to find an upgrade for Gortys so that once it's powered up, it can locate what it's trying to locate. The vault it's going to. It also gives it thick running legs.
Yeah, Loaderbot says, nice gams.
Yeah. And Gortys says, thank you. So that's a great pair of characters. But to move on a bit, we can talk about Athena and Fiona, who is taken in by Athena really quickly, I think, to do the same thing that Jane was doing, just trying to replace her sister and teach this up and coming assassin how to be more assassin-y.
That's so funny that you went with Clementine and Jane, since I totally agree, but I was thinking Lee and Clementine, that scene in the boxcar when Lee is teaching her how to shoot.
Well, I mean, I went with Clementine and Jane because specifically it's to replace her dead sister.
Yeah, it's like almost exactly the same thing.
Yeah, like to a... Maybe that bit with her sister happened in a Borderlands game that the player might have seen if they played it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe this is new information for everyone.
Yeah, to me, just going off the information I had, it just struck me as a funny way of doing Jane's story.
Yeah, maybe maybe Paul Choret, who might have worked on... I don't know what other Telltale things he worked on. Maybe Choret's got this like grand vision of, one day I'm gonna write the perfect dead sister story. It's gonna blow everyone out of the water. People are gonna be like, I apologize for making fun of you for trying this for so many years. I get it now.
I now understand what you were going for.
Yeah, man. It really is wild how it's just the same. It's exactly the same.
I mean, I think it's done a lot better here.
Oh, totally.
It's not Jane just going on and on about it. Like, the first time it's brought up, they make a joke out of it. And then the second time, it's like she only brings it up twice, but...
It reads like a parody of Walking Dead Season 2.
Yeah, but at the same time, I do feel like it worked for Athena's motivation for later in the scene when she is going to kill the scientist.
Yeah, so Athena gives you infinite bullets, so you don't have to worry about spending the one bullet anymore, which is nice for the fiction, but at the same time, I really liked the story implication and the choice implication, the design implication of having to choose where you spent your one bullet when you had one bullet.
It felt like it was going to lead up to something.
Well, yeah, because you could choose to kill your adopted dad or not, and that felt big, even though he died either way.
Yeah, and now you just get a lot of them.
Yeah, now you just get infinite ammo, and
it's a little bit of a bummer, but I guess it's not that big a deal.
You can put elemental effects on it, and Fiona is now becoming a vault hunter. She did not take the assumption of a vault hunter, because in this universe, vault hunter is more than just person who looks for a vault. It's like an occupation that people fear, like a Witcher in the Witcher universe or something. You know about vault hunters, you don't want to mess with them. Jedi, maybe.
Right.
Like, just there's these high level individuals in this world that are trying to do the same thing you are, but they will be better at it. So she's maybe this is the core of what Athena's doing. She's told by Felix before he died to just make sure she's okay. And the way she is going to understand that task is to make Fiona a full Vault Hunter, and then she'll just be okay in fights from then on out.
Right. I like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
I kind of like that route.
Yeah. So her arc in this story is probably going to be one about training and unlocking your full potential. I like that story. I like that story trope. I'm happy for that. Third pair, the probably the most important one for I imagine what a lot of people online at the time were talking about, which is Reese and Sasha.
It does feel like the big one, even though technically this and the Fiona one are pretty big.
I mean, in impact in the story, I'd say the Fiona one's probably bigger, but in previous episodes, I had gotten no implication that Reese and Sasha were gonna date. I didn't think anything romantic between them was happening at all. Those two, like, I thought Reese and Fiona.
Right. I guess you could kind of, like, it doesn't feel like that's what they're building up to in episode 1, but they at least have some interactions when they're, like, taking out the guards with their weapons.
Yeah.
You get some interaction with the two, at least.
You get a little bit of that. I maybe had just mentally compartmentalized them this way, but I had kind of been starting to think of Sasha as way younger than Reese. Maybe they're not that different in age, actually.
Yeah, so Sasha's 24,
yeah.
I think. I don't know if they ever say Reese's, actually.
I bet I can figure this out online. Let me look it up.
They at least feel like a similar enough ballpark that I didn't necessarily think it was weird hooking these two up.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you before I find the actual answer. How old do you think Reese is?
So let's see. Sasha's 24. I'm going to say Reese is like 27 or 28.
Okay, so talesfromtheborderlands.fandom.com/wiki/Reese says that he's 27. And I don't know if that's in Tales from the Borderlands, because he is in Borderlands 3.
Oh, Reese is in Borderlands 3?
Yeah, maybe that's a spoiler that he doesn't die at the end. Sorry.
Sorry about that.
But yeah, he is in Borderlands 3 as a supporting character.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the thing says 27. Because this is Tales from the Borderlands wiki, I'm going to say that he's 27 in Tales, not in Borderlands 3.
Right, so I was right. What's my prize?
The knowledge that they're only 3 years apart. So that's totally, that makes sense.
I was hoping for candy.
Okay. Yeah, I guess DM me your mailing address. I'll fax you some candy.
We'll discuss it after the show.
Okay. What's your go-to candy these days? I'm a big candy guy. I eat a lot of candy.
I really want some candy now. I think after this show's over, I might just run out and get some candy. It depends on the mood I'm in, but...
well, when we had Halloween candy in the house a couple weeks ago, we had a big bag of mixed, like, chocolate things, and we had 100 Grand Bars in there, which I can never find on their own. 100 Grand Bars are so good.
What's all in 100 Grand Bars? I don't think I've had one in a long time.
It's like... It's got some crunch in it, but it's a lot of caramel and on a wafer,
right,
and chocolate covering.
I like wafery things. Like you know those Reese's sticks?
Yeah.
Those are good.
100 Grand Bars are a lot more caramel than you're used to in a chocolate bar.
It's an uncomfortable amount of caramel.
Well, if you don't like it, it is, but I'm into that nasty shit, so...
Shove that shit down my throat.
Yeah, I'm kinky that way. I'll take any caramel you got.
I think my go-to candy these days, like when I think of candy I really want, Sour Patch Kids come to mind.
Yeah, I could chew some up right now. I'm hungry, man. I'm just regular hungry is the problem, actually. Not candy hungry.
Yeah.
I could eat food. I haven't eaten anything today yet.
I'm probably going to run out after this.
Yeah, I might just do that same thing.
I know we're in the middle of a Borderlands podcast, but can I tell you a story and all of our listeners a story?
Okay.
It's not very long, but last week, me and my roommates, the usual boys we bring up every so often.
Yeah, those pals, yeah.
We went to Wahoo's Family Fun Center.
Okay.
It's like it's kind of like, it has like mini golf, it has an arcade, go-karts, just one of those kinds of places.
Can I ask if this was an Adam-fueled idea?
Yes.
Yeah,
but it wasn't necessarily his idea. His work was doing something
cool.
where we all got to go for free, which was nice. That was fun. But we all got cards for the arcade that only had $5 on them, which isn't a lot, because I think the cheapest to play one of these games is $1, which sucks.
A full
Yeah.
dollar for one play?
Yeah, I think the cheapest one I saw was 50 cents, but it was just like a Pac-Man.
Yeah, I mean, I was ready for that not to be quarters anymore, just because the times they are a-changing, but a full dollar sounds like too much still.
Yeah, it is. It was not great. And that, $1's like one of the cheapest ones. But anyway, so one of the games they have there is just like a little claw machine that'll grab candy for you. So, you can get, but the way it works is you don't even get the candy that you grabbed. It puts it on like a little platform, and then it has like a pushy thing that pushes the candy into the winnings pool, I guess.
Oh, yeah?
So, like, the candy you grab is dropped onto this platform and is used to push the candy that other people grabbed down farther until it drops down for you to grab.
Gotcha.
So I did one, and I didn't know. I won just like a little Twix bar or something, like a little fun-sized Twix. And I thought that was that. But I guess the game decided to play itself.
Whoa.
It kept for like a solid between 5 and 8 minutes. The game was just continuing by itself, just randomly grabbing candy and giving us more and more candy.
Nice.
Yeah, we don't know what happened, but boy, was it fun. We had other people come around. They're like, what's going on? We're like, it's just going on. It's playing itself and giving us candy.
Do you ever drink a Monster Energy drink?
No, I've never had a Monster Energy drink, actually. Not even once.
Are you opposed to the idea, or you just haven't done it?
I just haven't. I guess energy drinks just aren't really my thing. I'm always worried I'll drink one and explode.
Yeah, I feel like the first time I had a Monster, I kind of felt like I'm not even amped. I'm just going to explode.
Yeah, I feel bad even drinking like a can of soda. So
yeah, your story reminded me of a very particular experience I had in a rock climbing gym I used to go to when I had a body that could do that. Where they had a vending machine there that had Monster Energy in it, and Monster Energy was just such a rare thing to have, because like my parents are never going to buy it. They're smarter than that. And in my adulthood right now, I'm not going to get like multiple Monster Energies for myself. If I ever have one, it'll be like, okay, I have a specific thing I need to keep awake for later today. Maybe I should go out and get one. But because of that, right. I've just always associated Monster Energy drinks with like, ooh, what a treat, what a special time.
Ooh, what a tasty little beverage.
Even though, which is probably good.
It's like a mini Christmas.
Yeah, it's good for me to keep them. It's good that I haven't normalized them in my life. But I also am an adult with money, so like I could probably just.
You could just go out and get one whenever you want.
I do. I can't pretend that I'm above them. I like the taste. Honestly, Dustin, I think you probably would too. It's like, it's just kind of candy water.
Right. You know what's so funny about this conversation is it reminds me of one we've had before on whether or not eggnog should be seasonal.
Right. Yeah. And you were saying it. Did we disagree on that? I don't remember.
Personally, I like that it's seasonal. I like that little, it's getting to be that time of year. I can get myself a nice eggnog.
Yeah, I think my take, or at least the take I'm feeling right now, was that it's fine if it's mostly seasonal, But if I really want some in another time of year, there should be an option to like, okay, maybe I need to go to a specialty store or go out of my way a little bit. But like I shouldn't just be shut off when if I really need some.
If I really need that nog.
Yeah, if I'm negging for a nog, I gotta be able to get some. Yeah, I mean, I think the artificial scarcity and feeling FOMO about it's kind of just some capitalism. I don't know.
Yeah, but at the same time, I do like it. I like that special feeling of it being like that December, Christmas time of year, and I can just go into the store and get my eggnog.
We're really on a tangent right now.
Yeah, this has been the eggnog portion of our podcast.
Yeah, and in fear of continuing the tangent and then just never returning to orbit for this show, I am going to ask you, have you heard the song White Wine in the Sun by Tim Minchin?
I have not.
It's my favorite Christmas song, and it's a lot about like how he is an atheist, doesn't believe in Jesus, doesn't believe in Santa necessarily, doesn't believe in like a lot of the societal associations of Christmas, but he just gets to spend time with his family and can't not like that. You can't not like the season when it has just been that good to you in your life.
Right, that is a very relatable feeling. I don't consider like my family to be Christian or anything. Like, I don't really know what we are, but we still celebrate and enjoy Christmas.
Yeah, I think my parents would definitely consider themselves Christian, but they don't go to church ever. But we do still celebrate Christmas, and yeah, I wouldn't trade that. It's like a good time.
Yeah, same.
Just for people. It's just a good people time. Anyway, maybe
Borderlands has Christmas?
No.
Me neither.
Maybe Santa's got a gun though. I don't know.
That would be great. They should give us a little bonus Tales from the Borderlands episode with Santa Claus.
Yeah, maybe it's like a machine gun that just fires bullets out many times a second, and any time he shoots, he goes ho 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 ho.
But the bullets are candy.
The bullets are candy canes. Yeah, definitely, because he's got that legendary loot. We have to finish this episode.
Yes. Where were we?
Valerie breaks in.
Wait, we were talking about Reese and Sasha. Did we finish?
Oh yeah. Okay, so they're flirting with each other hardcore. You get the opportunity to pluck a flower as Reese and give it to Sasha, and I did that. And if you do it, she's actually pretty receptive to it, and it seems like she's into it, and Reese is into it.
Reese, I like how like awkward they make Reese. I think they did a really good job of. Reese is not at all the character I was afraid he was going to be.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that romantic relationship?
I agree with you that it does kind of come out of nowhere, but I don't dislike it.
Yeah,
because I like both these characters a lot. So I'm like, oh, Reese and Sasha, sure, that's fine. And I think part of what makes it okay for me is it's mainly from Reese's perspective. We see Reese is getting kind of nervous.
Yeah.
He's getting a little, he kind of has the fidgety fingers. He is getting really into Sasha, and Sasha's receptive to it, but I don't necessarily think she's got like the butterflies in her tummy or anything. She's just kind of accepting it as it goes, and I think that helps it feel like they're not immediately head over heels for one another.
I think the thing that makes it feel weird for me is that in the first episode, she needs to pretend to be the love interest of August in order to get in that space. And then in the second episode, she even does that a little bit for Scooter. And then she has...
I forgot Scooter.
Oh, there's a great moment where they're Skyping Scooter while they're fixing the car in the montage at the beginning. Love that.
Yeah, that's right.
But like just to ask him for mechanical advice. But there was that conversation they had where she said like, hey, I don't want to be the flirty one all the time. I don't want to have to be that all the time. And you know, because she expressed that, I want that for her as a character that I like. So for her to just kind of have this whole episode where the thing seems to be again that it's a romantic relationship, and even if it's something that she's into versus something that she's just pretending, it does feel like there's an effort by the writers here to continue to define her as a romantic interest, which is a little disappointing because she does other things, but this episode, that romantic interest with Reese is like the kind of top of how she's defined.
I actually see it a little different, because in those fake relationships, she was very flirty with August. Here, she's not being flirty at all. Like, even
I don't know,
Reese giving her the flower, she feels like more jokey about it to me.
There's other things besides the flower in this episode. Like, a lot of the writing, she does the "Hey Tiger, you're pretty good at that" over there. Not "Hey Tiger," I made that up, but
I don't. She never feel.
I got that vibe.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like. I didn't get that vibe. She felt like they are making her a love interest, but she felt like a natural love interest. She doesn't feel like. Yeah, she does say, "I don't like being the flirty one all the time." Here, Reese is trying to be flirty and failing at it, and she's just kind of like, "Okay."
I don't think he's failing at it.
Well, you know what I mean. Not failing as in she's not interested, but failing as in
he's stumbling, but like he's doing it right.
Stumbling stumbling's the better word.
He is successful at,
yeah, but he's not being like Mr. Cool flirty man.
I definitely agree that it's more coming from Reese than it is from Sasha, but I do still think that maybe I disagree here that Sasha is just kind of taking it as sort of like, oh yeah, sure, we'll do this for now. I read it as a bit more than that from Sasha.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying she's not interested in Reese at all. Like, I'm just saying the way she's acting is not the same as she is with, like, August.
Yeah.
Where it feels like she's more, I don't know, like, trying to be the flirty one. Here, I don't know, it just feels like more natural, I guess.
I mean, it is more natural because those other ones were fake relationships and this isn't. So that's better.
And I like that. I like that it shows that this could be a real thing and not just a pretend role she's playing.
Yeah, I'm just disappointed that so far she's mostly been defined by relationships.
I can see that.
I want to see some internal strength from Sasha. Because she does do really cool stuff, like when she goes out to help Reese, but when she goes out on Loaderbot, she's like thinking up that plan for herself, and she's taking a lot of immediate action and direct initiative that even Reese, like no one else in the party, really is. So that's cool, but then to see most of the personal side of her still be defined by her relationship with men is disappointing. I'll say that much. I do, however, like the ship. I will say that it's a good ship.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to for me. I still like the character. I like both these characters. So I don't think I don't get, like, I'm not having a bad time with it.
Sure. Yeah. I think
yeah. But I
nice.
Do get where you're coming from as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't hate it enough that I tried to stop the flirting with my dialogue choices. I accelerated it, in fact. So
no, Reese, no.
Reese, no. It's not horny at all, I promise.
You have to let her do her own thing first.
Man, nothing warms up a relationship like a visit to the Arboretum. That's a quote from someone, by the way. I didn't make that quote up. Talking about a completely different video game. And those who know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. And those who don't will just have to listen to everyone talk about every video game to know what I'm talking about.
I guess that's me.
You've got some homework. Yeah, and then I don't want to like do a play-by-play for the rest of the episode, both because we're kind of running long, and also I don't know how worth it would be to do, but Valerie crashes the dome, and you get in a fight with two of her like lead vault hunter assistants.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a cool bit where they hang Fiona upside down, and then Sasha has to kind of help her out, but you also use a lot of like lateral thinking, sort of Indiana Jones, MacGyver things to get out of the situation you're in. It's a pretty fun moment.
Yeah, I like when you swing.
And
we get a whole bunch of people coming in. We get the 2 thugs from the last episode.
Yeah.
Whose names I forget.
One of them, I almost said
Finch and Kroger.
Finch and Kroger. It's such good names. I'm sorry I forgot them for a second. Finch and Kroger. Yeah, those guys are fun grunts too. All the grunts are fun in Borderlands. Maybe that's always true about Borderlands, but it's really true in this game.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like what else is there? Is that it?
Yeah, I guess you got the whole chase where you're trying to save Gortys.
Yeah.
That part was fun on the car.
Yeah, like at the very end, Valerie kind of corners them and she has the upper hand. I think she shoots Athena, but it doesn't look like she's dead. She's just kind of hurt.
Yeah.
And then you find out that the next piece of Gortys, because you're just putting together this McDonald's toy Inspector Gadget, is on Helios, so you got to go to the satellite.
Right.
And that's the next episode.
Crazy. Oh, one thing I liked is I like how Loaderbot just gets more and more destroyed as time goes on. I wonder at what he's going to be by the last episode.
Well, there's a great moment. So Gortys got legs, and Loaderbot lost its legs. So you just put Loaderbot on Gortys.
You got a whole person.
And Loaderbot says, "This is the best day of my life." It looks really funky, and I think Sasha and Reese are riding just on Loaderbot's shoulders at that time.
What a fun visual. Just the whole time, just seeing them. I love how Loaderbot's like running on his hands.
Yeah, like Geodude sometimes does.
Yeah,
it's good.
Cool stuff. This really sets up. I hope some cool stuff comes from what this episode sets up. I have a feeling it will, just because of how highly people think of this game. But I'm hoping it does.
Yeah, Dustin, whenever we're done with Pokemon Generation 9, would you want to play some co-op Borderlands? Do some
maybe
just do some Borderlands in our downtime. I don't know if we do an episode on it, but I want to give it the shot. You know, I've
give it the benefit
an
of the
idea
doubt
of what Borderlands is like, and if it lives up to that idea, we will stop playing. But Tales from the Borderlands has not been that idea, so I've
yeah, and it's hard to say if that's just because of what Telltale brings to it or not.
Yeah, so maybe we try Borderlands 2, because I've heard actually that 2 is a lot better than 1 in that way.
I've heard that as well.
So maybe we start with 2.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. That's I think that's all we have to talk about, unless you got something else.
I think so.
There was a doctor scientist there, but like it's fine.
He's not that big a character. He's not bad.
I think he can
Dr.
die.
Cassius Leclermain.
He can probably die if Fiona lets Athena kill him, because Athena wants to kill him.
Yeah, there's an option. There's an option to say like, yeah, kill him.
But because Atlas made Athena kill her own sister. So, you know, that's the... but I knew that neither of us would pick that option, so...
Well, not just because of the perfect little Boy Scouts we are, but it just doesn't feel like it's a good reason to kill this guy.
Yeah, if you pick that option that we picked, Fiona says, you didn't make a vow to your sister, you made a vow to yourself, and now you're just being meaner than you have to about it. And... yeah, I mean, that's exactly what's happening. That's always what's usually happening in these games.
Even though you have the option, it would feel out of character for me for Fiona to be like, yeah, kill him. I agree with you.
Yeah, for everyone in the party just to be like, oh man, that's unfortunate that this has to happen.
But I guess it has to.
I mean, you convinced me.
It didn't take that long.
Yeah. Let's see.
We got our segments.
Yeah, let's do our segments. Golden moment.
Let's do those segments. Golden moment is the whole intro. Just how much shit happens.
Too. Like, so
right
good.
At the beginning.
I have it written on my notes here. This intro montage has more art and animation assets than probably entire Sam and Max episodes.
Yeah. Well, when I say the intro, I meant like before that as well.
Oh,
but
okay.
Like the opening credits are very good. Like that could just specifically be like, is that your golden moment? Just that
the opening
part?
credits, which I believe was last episode too. These opening credit sequences are great.
Very good.
Yeah. But yours is the escape from the Atlas facility. The first Atlas facility you go to.
So much happens right away. You meet up with Valerie and you meet Gortys. Vasquez dies. That's a weird one to me, because you were just talking about earlier how it seemed like he was being built up to be more of a villain in episode 2. And then here he just dies right away. That seems like a weird narrative choice. It's not necessarily one I think is like wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I don't hate that it happened, but it's interesting.
I mean, this is a pattern. This is a pattern with Telltale. I think it was most apparent in Walking Dead Season 2, where we had Carver, who was the big bad, and then it wasn't after Episode 3.
Yeah.
This is Episode 3. Now, Vasquez did that, where it's Vasquez, but it makes sense to do once, where you have a big bad, you're really elevating them, and then you get the player used to the normal of, okay, it's me against them. And then you have a bigger big bad who Ganondorf's Zant out of existence. And then you have Valerie, who is Vasquez's real boss. And now you feel like the stakes are continuing to be upped, even though you were previously already used to Vasquez.
Yeah, I'll say this. I think that's a lot better than the Ganondorf example you brought up.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's a famous example people don't like, right?
Yeah.
But I think it really did work in Walking Dead Season 2, even though I actually think that people don't like that. I like it. I think it's good.
I think it's fine. I guess I don't feel...
Wolf Among Us kind of did it too, didn't it?
I don't know, because it always had the Crooked Man. It was always kind of building up to the Crooked Man.
Well, the Crooked Man... Yeah, but like in the first couple episodes, didn't it seem more like Tweedledee or Tweedledum? And then like it's like, oh, well, their boss, Bloody Mary. And then Bloody Mary's boss, the Crooked Man.
I think Tweedledee and Tweedledum were always kind of billed as just hired goons.
Okay.
They never felt like the big bads.
Okay.
Bloody Mary, maybe. But
well, Bloody Mary was like the real force, because the Crooked Man was powerful in that he could manipulate others. He was individually very weak.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in episode 3, when Bloody Mary appears, like, we still see the Crooked Man in the car, so I don't think they're ever trying to be like, oh, here's your villain. Oh, just kidding. Here's your real villain. Like, they still imply that it's the Crooked Man who's in charge of all this.
And to be fair, this is a bigger thing than just Telltale. Like, Aghanim to Ganondorf. Again, it's Ganondorf a lot of the time that just sort of upsets the other bad that you thought you were dealing with.
Kid Icarus Uprising.
Medusa and Hades
does that.
Yeah. Yep. I bet we're gonna see it a couple more times in this podcast.
Once or twice.
I mean, a lot of the time that happens within a single CSI case.
That's true. They make you think it's going to be one person, then bam, it's someone else. That's how you know it's not going to be the first person.
When it makes sense for it to be a person, it is not them.
Right. I think it works better here when I can buy that there are more dangerous higher-ups.
Man, are you ready to do that 4th CSI game?
No.
Okay, well...
We just did the 3rd one. I don't have to think about this one for a long time.
Yeah, that's fair. We have a... Well, we already have a weird thing coming up where the next game we're playing after this is not a Telltale game.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, choice cut. I'll tell you mine. We didn't talk about it during the episode at all.
Okay. I think I have an idea of what it's going to be.
It's whether or not you want to work with Handsome Jack.
Ooh, that's not what I thought it was gonna be.
So there was a moment where Reese is having his little talk to yourself conversation with Handsome Jack on the roof of the car, and Handsome Jack's just saying, "Hey, you didn't go with my plan because we didn't go with this plan. This could be a completely different conversation if you did. We got to work together, man." And it's just this whole conversation about how Handsome Jack has a very particular outlook on trusting people, or else you're going to die on Pandora. And then Reese very smartly brings up, you did die. You are dead because of what you did. So you have this conversation, and eventually I chose to work with Handsome Jack, to say, like, you know what, let's do a partnership. Let's work it out. But I'm going to have input on this. It's not you in control.
I said that too, because even though we didn't trust him the first time, I still think it's better that everyone's kind of working together.
Yeah, and it is kind of it's kind of a nothing choice to say, yeah, tentatively we will be on the same side until you say something I don't like. It's very low stakes, but it still feels like we're advancing that relationship a bit more of digital
exactly.
Handsome Jack and Reese, to a point where I care how they interact.
I totally agree.
Yeah, because I like Handsome Jack being a larger-than-life figure who would never, ever have a conversation that lasted more than a couple sentences back and forth with someone like Reese. But because he's like being brought down to that level, he needs to explore a new system of socializing with people that he doesn't do, hasn't had to use before. And that has been cool.
Yeah, I like, it does make him more, you were kind of talking about how last episode you were getting more of the quippy Borderlands-ness out of him.
Yeah.
So I just assumed you didn't like him, but it sounds like you're getting a little more out of him this episode.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was true about last episode. I don't think it has continued to be true.
Okay.
At least not universally. Because last episode, there was so much of like, oh, dude, wallet head? This guy used to be bald, and I put dollar bills on his head. Like, okay. You're weird. You're a weird guy for that. That's not a reflection on him.
So, yeah, in this episode, he kind of has to... It's just him and Reese together. Yeah. And... I agree. I like that.
Yeah, I think last episode there was a lot coming from Handsome Jack of like,
I'm just gonna pop out of your head and make some quips about what's going on.
Yeah, I'm just gonna make some quips. I think I'm bigger and better than you. I think that whatever this setback I'm dealing with now, being stuck inside Reese's head, is a transitory moment for me. I'm more important. I'm Handsome Jack. I'm the big bad of Borderlands 2, he says. I'm a big deal. I don't have to like pal around with you like third-rate treasure hunters. And then in this episode, that emotion isn't there as much. Handsome Jack has probably learned and grown from that in the intervening times, even though he would never admit it and you don't see it. He's more like, okay, you know what, Reese, you and I we actually are on the same level. I'm going to start respecting you a bit more as a human if you do the same for me. And like that interaction is why it's my choice cut. I think it's a cool character growth moment for both of them.
I totally agree, even though it wasn't my choice cut. But I do think it was
What's
great.
yours?
That you can, the choice on your new clothes.
Oh yeah.
Because I did it again. It is something with like no real bearing on what's actually happening, but I did sit and think about it for a while. I didn't have money to get something for everybody.
No, I got a new suit for Fiona.
I also got a new suit for Fiona, which I wonder if we got the same one.
I got the most expensive one because it came with a hat because she sacrificed her hat earlier in the episode, and I thought she should have a hat.
I love that when she's like, but I like mine.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I feel like in these kinds of games, my job as the player is to be a steward for at least Reese and Fiona, maybe other characters too. But like, what are the ways I have to serve your best interests and buying her a hat when she didn't have a hat anymore, that felt like the thing I could do.
Right. I agree.
And that was fun.
I agree. It was just a fun little moment. And I like that even if you can't afford them, you can still see what you can purchase for everyone else. So it's still cool to see these characters get some different looks.
Yeah, I wasn't around for like the hype cycle for this game. I had kind of already left the Telltale fandom for then. So I wonder if the fact that this game has currency and you can buy things and it has loot like in regular Borderlands was a selling point, because that stuff certainly didn't exist in The Walking Dead, and probably on the surface would make it feel like it exists in a more RPG-like space. But it doesn't really change the gameplay. It's just kind of a fun thing.
Yeah, they straight up say in the costume descriptions, like, oh, yeah, no, there's no benefits to these.
Yeah, because it'll be listed
don't worry
as
about
makes
it.
you 1,000% less flame-proof, or flame weak, or whatever. And then in the description it says, nah, not really, though.
Nah, it just looks good. Don't worry about it.
And also, I'd be remiss not to mention, it's your choice cut, so you can mention this if you think you know what I'm going to say about this.
I don't. Go ahead.
It's Bosco.
Bosco?
It's his song.
They used the Bosco song again?
And you didn't catch it again. Maybe you don't know this song.
I didn't catch it.
And that's fine.
I might need to listen. Well, I also wasn't... I didn't have the volume up that loud. I love that. That's a fun little thing. Like, even if Telltale's done with Sam and Max for right now and done with that style of gameplay, you still get that little taste of Sam and Max permeating through.
Yeah, I mean, Sam and Max, despite Telltale not owning them at any point, really did serve as Telltale's, if not Mario, at least like Sonic the Hedgehog to Sega.
Yeah.
Maybe Sonic is actually more of a mascot to Sega than Mario is to Nintendo. I would need to sit on that. But it's like their mascot series.
Would you say it's more like Crash Bandicoot to PlayStation? Where it was never like an official mascot thing, but it always felt like it.
I think it's more like Crash Bandicoot to Naughty Dog specifically. Where like in Uncharted games, sometimes the characters will be playing Crash Bandicoot as like a... Right. Oh, dude, remember Crash Bandicoot? And the characters would say, yeah, I always thought this was the best video game.
Wow, Crash won?
Yeah. It's crazy to believe that Crash Bandicoot is going to be an Xbox mascot pretty soon.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what's one thing I wanted to bring up? So one thing I just thought was funny was if you use Reese's eye when you first reach your destination, it looks like Sasha's the only one who you can scan just because everyone else is so far ahead. Mm-hmm. But under Sasha's data, it says, favorite children's book, Chester the Chubby Varkid.
I did see that. I wonder what's a Varkid.
It's an enemy in Borderlands 2, I read up.
Oh, is it like a human?
I think they're like creatures.
Okay. Yeah.
Who's your weekly guy?
Gortys.
Mine's also
of course.
Gortys.
Yeah.
How could it not be? But this episode has a lot of good characters in it. And I was thinking near the end, I think even though Gortys is the obvious answer I have to go with, I would give a runner-up to Reese this episode, I think. I thought Reese was a likable, enjoyable guy in this episode. Like, I don't know if it's any more so than he was before, but it just kind of struck me more this time. I was like, I like Reese. And I think you could say Fiona, too. We were already singing Fiona's praises.
Yeah.
Both really kill it this episode.
Yeah, I was definitely on the fence of Gortys or Fiona, personally. I mostly just said Gortys because I think Fiona's strengths, have been throughout all 3 episodes we've played so far, whereas Gortys is like this episode.
Definitely. And
yeah.
Gortys is a great character. The whole time I was thinking, I hope this is a character that lives at the end.
Yeah. And that's been our episode this week. Have we forgotten anything else?
It sure has. I got a couple funny lines.
Okay.
So one line that I thought was really funny, it was when they reached the main room where they think Gortys's upgrade is. And Fiona says, "Anyone else's creepometer going bananas right now?"
That is a Dustin line and a half.
I don't know, just the idea of a world like Borderlands, like Pandora, and using the word bananas is very funny to me.
Yeah.
Already had, but I like my hat. That was a funny one. When they're talking to the doctor, Dr. Cassius LeClamaine, Fiona interrupts. She says, "Hang on there, Doc. If that is your..." So they don't know that that's his name later. She says, "Hang on there, Doc. If that is your real name." And he says, "It's not, and I never said it was." That's funny. I think that's about all I got, but this line brought the chuckles.
How can the same studio that made Jurassic Park make this?
Right? We said that with Walking Dead Season 1, just one game after.
Yeah, but I think, like, we know enough about how Walking Dead was going to be this big modality shift, so they were risking it all. Kind of Final Fantasy 1 style, where if this doesn't do it, the company might go under, and
we got to give it our all.
And then they did. Just a lot of impressive things in Tales from the Borderlands. I'm constantly bewildered by how a team like Telltale, which at this point was not small, there were a lot of artists, a lot of writers,
right?
But still, they're making these huge things every. Well, I guess they took more than a month, so maybe that's the answer to my question. How'd they do that? They just took longer and had a lot more people, and also they crunched all the time. So,
yeah. I guess it was worth the time, maybe not the crunch, but because this episode is a lot better than episode 2, which I didn't really feel the benefits of taking longer to get out on.
True, yeah. Yeah, I think they found themselves after it, because whatever episode 1 was, it was just completely unsustainable to do it for all 5 episodes, right? So, maybe these last 2 episodes were the process of finding what we wanted in 1 to continue in a sustainable way.
Yeah, and I feel like 2 is a little too light on those big moments, while 3 is still lighter than 1, but it has those big moments to latch on to.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I'm very glad that it picked up, and I'm having a good time.
Yeah, me too. And I hope that you, the listener, are also having a good time, because we'll catch up with you next week when we take on Tales from the Borderlands, Episode 4. And until next time, we'll see ya!
Goodbye!